Doce Shangi Compagno Tosho. Okay, let's do the four limitless contemplations. May all beings have happiness and create the causes of happiness. May they all be free from suffering and creating the causes of suffering. May they find that noble happiness that can never be tainted by suffering. May they attain universal impartial compassion, free of worldly bias towards friends and enemies. Semjen damje dewatang dewe jutang dempa juchik, dongal tang dongal chichutang trawa juchik, dongal mepe dewa tampatang mindrawa juchik, Nering chaktang ni tang trawe tang num jebola ne pa juchik. So good morning to everyone that came in late. Hannah, I'm very pleased to see you from the Czech Republic. It's really nice that you made it. And Nicola, I'm in Cape Town, so Marion's very cross, but I'm off just now. It was just for a weekend, so I didn't have time to contact anyone. But anyway, what I wanted to say to all of you was, before we start exploring the true meaning of the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities, okay, this is part 2, and if you missed part 1, please go back and listen, because it's very important that you get absolutely everything. But you know, I was looking, for those of you that are in Cape Town, you know, they've got this, the Iliad is on at the theatre. And just watching that, you know, it's the play, Homer's poem, his long poem, and it's actually unbelievable, that play, because you see all the wars of the world, the Trojans versus the Greeks, but it's the same as all the present wars that are going on. And it's so sad, you know, and he says, rage, rage, rage. And then at one time, Achilles has this compassion. He turns his rage into compassion. I found the whole thing very spiritually meaningful. So those of you who can go and see it in Cape Town, it's really a very, very, I mean, he's a brilliant actor. But just watching, you kind of see this deep meaning of life and what it really, really means. And for me, that's absolutely very essential. Hello, Abby. Okay, so today, in exploring the true meaning of the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities, I want you all to understand this subject is maybe the deepest and maybe the most profound of all the subjects in Buddhism, because this is where you finally confront who you are, the real you, not this temporary identity, but the real you. And when you actually understand that, then when you die, it's very easy when you come to the border of reality. It's called the border of reality, or the border of the Dharma, the border of reality. What's the other word it's called? Anyway, it doesn't matter. Dharma Dhatu, I think, or one of those. But the border of reality is when you face yourself in the form of the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities. And the most important thing is to recognize, to know who you are. That's your most important point for your after death. If you recognize, you can get through and be liberated and not go on to the circle of life again. So the point is, this subject is much deeper than you could ever imagine, because when you look in the mirror and you go, oh, I can't stand myself, you know, or I'm looking so awful, I'm looking old and haggard, or whatever the case is, or I'm too fat, or I'm too thin, or I don't have the right job, and I don't have this. We're making a big mistake, because that's not who you are. This is just the temporary, transient thing. So I'm going to start with a story from this incredible book. It's called The Six Bardas of the Tibetan Book of the Dead. I mentioned it, I think, last time. It's Kenshin Palden Sherab Rinpoche and his brother. They were two Rinpoches who taught hectically in America, and they loved the Bardo teaching. They loved this whole book, and I was going to do this whole book as a course, but then I thought, it's going to take me right through the year to actually teach it. So let me rather just take parts out, and I do a little bit in the night group and a little bit in the morning group. But I want to read you this. And then after that, Bern, I'm going to ask you to show those the tanker paintings. Okay. But in Tibet, there was a tanker painter who was working on a painting of the 100 peaceful and wrathful deities. His young daughter was always by his side, but she didn't pay too much attention to his art until he painted a certain wrathful Buddha with the head of a snake. The little girl had a strong reaction to this image and asked her father, "What is this strange-looking creature?" "This is nothing to feel strange about," the father said. "This is one of the many forms of the Buddha. All these figures are Buddhas." Then she asked, "Where are these Buddhas now?" And he explained, "While you are alive, you might not be able to see these Buddhas, but I'm adding in parentheses, you may be able to see them during your life. You really may, and I want to see them too during my life. But when you die, they will come along and show themselves. This Buddha with a snake's head is the last among all the Buddhas that you will experience at that time. When you see this form, don't be deluded into thinking that you haven't died, which a lot of people do." This snake-headed Buddha made a very big impression in the little girl's mind, and she would remember this form and how her father said it was important to remember that she would see the Buddha in this form after death. For whatever reason, that was her karmic connection that she had with the Buddha with the snake head. Throughout her life, this thought kept cropping up in her mind again and again. After she died, she went through all the Bardo experiences, but did not recognize what was happening until she saw the final snake-headed Buddha. So maybe some of you might see it, okay? At that moment, she remembered, "Oh, here is the vision of the Buddha my father told me about. This is my own mind's projection in the Bardo. Doesn't exist externally, so I shouldn't react and create more karma." Simply remembering this helped her relax and stopped her from drifting into a more deluded, confused state. She actually enjoyed a good realization due to this understanding. Okay, very, very important story. And it goes on, these two brothers go on to say, the wrathful Buddhas, of which the snakehead is one of them, hello Gail, the wrathful Buddhas emanate from our crown chakra when we die, okay, accompanied by a violent eruption of light and sound. The visualization is extremely clear during this time. Don't be afraid of it. When you hear these loud noises and the visions, you say, "Oh, I remember we discussed this in our group." You recognize that it's your mind's projection. And he says, they are emanations of your own mind and do not exist in and of themselves. They are like just another display of the dream state. As you experience these deities, he says, you're actually traveling in a deeper dimension of the dream world. And he says, you have to abandon all terror and fear. This bardo begins with the most intense experience of the primordial luminosity of clear light awareness. Because we usually cling to hopes and fears, Guru Padma urges us not to be timid and afraid at this time. We need to know that whatever arises is the self-radiant energy of the mind and does not contain even a single atom of objective reality. The entire experience is contained in our own mind like a dream. Understanding this crucial point leads to liberation, whether it's peaceful or wrathful. It doesn't matter, because I'll explain what the wrathful are. But everything is just a display of primordial wisdom, the lighting up of our true nature. Now that story is so important, okay, because you may have an affinity to one of those 100 deities, because you may have that kind of karma or that kind of connection. You may have, a lot of you already have studied all the 5 Buddhas, and I really suggest that those of you who haven't been to all my lectures, just Google, on our website, go and see the ones where I said the 5 dimensions of our mind, one of those, or primordial consciousness versus ordinary human consciousness, or psychology versus primordial consciousness. Because there you can go back, and a lot of you can go back and get those videos and watch them. It'll really help you a lot. It's really important. Now, when I visited Lama Yeshe Rinpoche, not this last weekend, but the weekend before, he already had the tankers on the wall. What had happened was that Natalie from Taiwan had actually commissioned her friend to do these paintings of the tankers. And it took this girl, she's a beautiful artist, and it took her a long time to do these peaceful and wrathful deities that she did. She had to do each one in a beautiful way. So when I came into his room, they are up on the wall because we couldn't afford them. They cost such a lot when it came to dollars. So Lama Yeshe decided to buy them, and he's got them in his room. Now, what I'd advise those of you who are in Johannesburg, do me a favor, just go along to the temple and say, I want to go to Lama Yeshe's room and see the tankers. I'm in Melanie's group, and I want to actually see them live. Hello, T, nice to see you on camera. And I want to see these. I really advise you. I know he won't mind. I'll tell him I'm sending you all. But meanwhile, what I did when I was there, I took pictures of them. So, Bern, if you could try and give us the peaceful ones first, if you can. I'll show you what they look like. Beautiful tanker. And they're hanging up there. That room is exquisite. And then Lama Yeshe always says to me, do you like that lamp? I said, it's beautiful. He said, I want to order one for you. I'm very lucky. Just try and make it a little bit bigger if you can, Bern. Can you? Now that is a tanker painting by this girl of the peaceful deities. And it looks like this. When we go through it, we can come back and look. You see all these Buddhas that are standing up are the 6 Buddhas of the 6 realms of samsara. They're standing, they're not sitting, because they have to be ready for us. And each of these beautiful deities are one of the 5 wisdom Buddhas and all their entourages. She obviously hasn't got them all on the painting, but this is half of them, the peaceful ones. And I want you to just look at the detail of every single one that this beautiful artist has painted. When I gave a teaching at you could see there, and you could see the standing ones are the Buddhas of the 6 realms, and each of them, multiplied by many others, in their entourages, the 5 Buddhas and everything that they are exquisite. And do me a favor, those of you in Johannesburg, just go there and just say you want to go to Lama Yeshe's room and see these tankers on the wall. And you'll meet him, and you'll just say, no, Melanie sent us. Blame it on me. Okay, show us the other one, Bern. So these are 2 beautiful paintings on the wall. And this is the other one. Now, if you look in the middle at the wrathful ones, if you could try and make it bigger, those are called the Herukas. So Samantabhadra and Samantabhadri become the Herukas. They're these fierce figures with 3 heads and animal heads and all kinds of things come to frighten you. Are they bad? No, they're beautiful. But they come to give us a fright so that we look at our negativity and we look at them and we really see exactly how these are also our negative emotions, what they look like when they are expressed. Unbelievable when you see the detail that's got to go in. I mean, Natalie told me it took her months and months to paint this, because each one is a long, involved painting with heads and skulls and all the wrathful. Anyway, they're absolutely exquisite. And if you can, go and see them. What I want to say to all of you is, thanks, Bern, that's beautiful. What I want to say to all of you is, please ask me whatever you want to ask me. Please dialogue with me in this, because it doesn't matter how you think your questions are stupid, they're not stupid. Whatever you want to know about the subject, I will try. If I don't know it, I'll go and look it up for you. But the thing is, this is meeting yourself in true form, not meeting the psychology of yourself. And butt in if you want to ask me something, or if you want to state something. It doesn't matter how obvious it is. It's really important that you all understand this and that you get this right. Okay, it's really important, because this is maybe one of the most important and deep subjects right at the end of the yogas. This is the one that we need at the end. And this one can go on, as I said last week, for the rest of your life. So butt in if you want to talk. But I want to just give you another quote from Tulku Urgyen Rinpoche, which is very, very interesting for you to find. And he goes like this, and he's always laughing when he's teaching the Kunzak Tuktik, the 100 and peaceful. He's in his element and he's always laughing, and I can always hear his laughter. So this is what he says. Once we attain stability in samadhi, what's samadhi? Samadhi is when you can sit and find that beautiful, peaceful way and find your true nature just sitting in samadhi, okay? A lot of us can't do it, but it doesn't matter. You keep trying and you try and sit. But he says, once we attain stability in samadhi, delusion is destroyed. Since samadhi, sitting in your true nature, dismantles the entire drama of delusion. In other words, this mind, it's really your human part of the mind, but it all comes from the nature of mind. This mind has basically created the delusion. But by recognizing the nature of mind, we clear up our delusion, since at that moment, no delusion can be recreated. If everyone would just understand this, he writes, this is amazing. And then in the book it goes, Rinpoche laughs. He goes, this is amazing. He's so enthusiastic about it, and I feel his enthusiasm. And then he goes, it is the mind itself that creates this whole delusion, but it's also the mind itself that can let the whole delusion collapse. And he laughs again. Besides Buddha nature, what else is there to free from delusion? Buddha nature is the very basis for delusion, and it's also what dissolves the delusion. Please try to understand this carefully. This is something you can understand. That's what he writes. Do you understand? Do any of you understand? Try and put your cameras on, a few of you, so that I can see your beautiful faces. I like to see how you're responding to this, because it's very deep teaching. It's very difficult for me to give this teaching to names without any faces on. I like to see your beautiful faces. Thanks, Han. Yay. Thanks, Mummy. Just give me your pictures so that I'm teaching somebody. I'm not teaching names. And anybody want to ask or say? Because he loves it so much. And he says how ridiculous it is that we have the ability to create the delusion, and the same nature of mind dissolves the illusion or the delusion. It's so amazing how we walk around deluded. I just look at everybody as I'm going around and what they say and how they feel. And I think, oh my God, they're so deluded. Okay, if you want to butt in, butt in. But I want you just to burn, if we can have the mandala at the end of the practice of Kunzang Tuktik, comes his mandala and explanation. And I've given this to you before, but let's all read it together, okay? Hum, all sights are the body of the peaceful and wrathful ones, all sights. All that is heard is the sound of mantra. Thought-free awareness is the space of luminosity. The ocean-wide realms are filled with clouds of offerings, innumerable activities, free of beings. Numerative, free of beings, is that right? This is the all-pervading mandala of the victorious ones. Everything is perfect in the continuity of one taste. Now, what I want to say to all of you is, just let me check that, Bern, if that's correct. Free all beings, not free of beings. Innumerable activities, free all, there, correct. I knew it was wrong. Free all beings. And then he gives the mantras, which I'm going to give you in a moment. But just let's look at this. Okay. If you look, this is the 5 aspects. Just leave that mandala on for a moment, Bird, if you don't mind. These are the 5 aspects of us, the true us. All sides are the body of the peaceful and wrathful ones. That is the body. That's what we are. All sides are the body. That's the body. All that is heard is the sound of mantra. That is the speech. There's no other words. All the other words are garbage, 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 garbage. All that is heard when you are in a real enlightened state is the sound of mantra. Okay, that's the speech. The mind, thought-free awareness, is the space of luminosity. That's your mind, your true mind is luminous, open. It's aware, it's thought-free, it's absolutely exquisite. That's body, speech, mind. What is the 4th one? The 4th one is all your beautiful qualities. The ocean-wide realms are filled with clouds of offerings. That's why I tell everybody, you want a new job. What have you got to offer? Just stand in front of the universe and say, this is what I'm offering. I'm asking for this, but this is what I am offering. The clouds of offerings are your activities, your beautiful, enlightened activities. Compassion, wisdom, whatever else you've got, love, understanding, go right along all the qualities. That is the ocean-wide realms. Innumerable activities, free all being. That is the enlightened activities. In other words, those enlightened activities are your pacification, when you're able to pacify someone, like you give a baby a dummy. You're increasing the beauty in someone. Your magnetization, when you magnetize all these people to you and all these qualities to you. You're subjugating, when you really get rid of all the negativity. And finally, your action accomplishment, which is what Tara stands for, when your beautiful nature can work through you completely. You've got all 5. Body, enlightened body, Vajra body, enlightened speech, Vajra speech, enlightened mind, Vajra mind, enlightened qualities, enlightened activities. This is the all-pervading mandala of the victorious ones. Think about that, the all-pervading mandala of the victorious one. Everything is perfect in the continuity of one taste. Now he says here, everything is one taste, meaning everything in the world, the beings, what appears and exists, are completely embraced in the primordial pure space, uncompounded, unconstructed. In the single expanse, all dharmas of samsara and nirvana are included. One taste. It's absolutely exquisite. And if I were all of you, I would take this thing, you can ask Bern to send it to you, and I would say it every single day. I do. And then you've got the 2 mantras. The first mantra the Om Bodhicitta Mahasukha Janana Dhatu, that is the mantra of your absolute giving. It's of the peaceful deities. It's the mantra of the peaceful deities completely. If you want me to break it down, he gives beautiful explanations of it. I mean, everything is included. He gives the most beautiful explanations of that. He says, each of them, the bodhicitta, your pure motivation is in that first mantra, and it is the mantra of the peaceful deities. And then the last one is the mantra of the wrathful deities. Now you can hear it. Om rulu rulu hum jo hum. Om rulu rulu hum jo hum. It's like when you feel you're getting punched, because that is the mantra. Om rulu rulu hum jo hum. Now together, let's read the mantra, the mandala. This is all you need. If you take this down, or you get it from Byrne, and you do the mantra, you will start developing things inside yourself. It'll take you just 5 minutes to do. So let's read it and then just do a little bit of the mantra, okay? Just a little bit. He says do a whole thing of the mantra, but you'll see when you do it, I do it every day. When you do it, it starts awakening everything in you. It takes your sleepy head of not understanding. It takes your problems. It really moves into it. So let's say the whole thing. You go, hum. All sights are the body of the peaceful and wrathful ones. All that is heard is the sound of mantra. Thought-free awareness is the space of luminosity. The ocean-wide realms are filled with clouds of offering. Innumerable activities free all beings. This is the all-pervading mandala of the victorious ones. Everything is perfect in the continuity of one taste. Om Bodhicitta Mahasukha Janana Dhatu 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 Om Bodhicitta Mahasukha Janana Dhatu. You can do a lovely whole realm, and then you go on the wrathful. Whenever I do the wrathful, I put that into it, like, come on, Melanie, wake up. Om rulu rulu hum jo hum. Om rulu rulu hum jo hum. You can see the faces of these wrathful deities going, come on, wake up. We really are beautiful inside. Wake up. Om rulu rulu hum jo hum. Om rulu rulu hum jo hum. Om rulu rulu hum jo hum. Thank you, Byrne. What do you think of that? Can you do it? Do it. That's just a small part of the whole text of Kunzang Tuktik, but use it because it's there. You can use it. You can't do the text fully because we haven't got the empowerment. If Tai Situ gives the empowerment, we're all going to India for 5 years running. Okay, I'm meeting all of you, and we're going to get the empowerment. But the thing is, if he ever does it, and some of you are going to hold my suitcase because I'm going to be walking like a little old woman by the time the end of the 5 years come. But the thing is that it's very exciting because it wakes you up to who you really are. That's what this teaching does. It wakes you up and you kind of feel, oh my God, I'm sitting with all my crap and all my rubbish and all my old things, and look at me. Let me start putting this into practice. This is me. Don't think that you're limited. Questions, comments, please. Let me hear what you think, what you say. Damika, I can see your little grinning face, so you need to tell me your feelings now. Okay.
Can I ask you something, Mel?
Of course. Yeah,
have we got time? to learn all this, what's going to happen? I mean, for people like me who've come into this late in my life, and have we got time? Or
Such a
am I going to
beautiful.
have to come back and have another stint in samsara?
No, you're not. Not if I'm around, none of you are. Okay.
Okay.
Let me tell you something. What's so interesting about, just mute yourself and then you can answer me back. Let me tell you something interesting. You know, when you use your human part of your consciousness, it's such a beautiful question, yours, because when you use your human part of the consciousness, okay, this is what you do. I must get up in the morning, take all my vitamins, go to the bathroom, wash, clean up, go to the toilet, read, study, do all these sort of things. One thing at a time. Why? Because my human consciousness is so limited, okay? But as soon as you touch that cognizant awareness, that actual enlightened nature, it already knows, it's already cognizant. So like, for instance, I'm giving you this little thing, and certainly all of you get the book, Dzogchen Deity Practice, and read it through millions of times, because I read it all the time and I say it all the time, even though I haven't got the empowerment to do it. But it doesn't matter, because I'm doing it with my heart. But the primordial consciousness knows it already. So it's already there. It doesn't go step by step by step by step. It just awakens. So if you understand this principle, it might be a lot late for a lot of us. I mean, I'm really near the end of my life. When I think of it, next year, I turn 80. I mean, really, 80. When I thought of my parents at 80, they were little old people already. It's unbelievable. So there isn't that much time, even for me, to be sharing with you. I'm really going to the last section of my life. But if you focus, like for instance, I'm saying, start with the mantra and just keep saying to yourself, I've got Vajra body, Vajra speech, Vajra mind, Vajra qualities, Vajra enlightened activities. When you keep saying this to yourself, and then you do the mantra, you'll feel an awakening in you. That's all you need. Because when you come, I'll talk later about that second afterlife bardo, the bardo of Dhammatu, okay, or the bardo of reality. Because when you come to the bardo of reality, I want each and every one of you to know where you belong. I want you, when you see those deities coming along, the 100 deities, the 5 multiplied into 100, I'm going to give it to you slowly. We must do it slowly, not quickly. You suddenly say, oh my God, and you hear the sounds, the lights, the rays. They say that the sound is like 1,000 thunderclaps. When you hear it, you're not going to go, you're going to say, oh my God, I remember the sound, light, and rays of the body, speech, and mind of the enlightened ones. I'm not at all afraid. I'm so excited. Let me see. Open the Pandora's box. Open everything you know. And you will see, as soon as you come, once you've done this teaching, and all of you are very devoted to do this teaching, it's very deep, but once you've done it, even if you can't see any of the deities in this lifetime, you will see them for sure in the afterlife, in the second bardo. And you will remember, like the little girl with her snake head, she remembered when she grew up. I remember my dad painting that painting. And that reminded her, these are the projections of my mind. Nothing to be afraid of. Once you know that and you are aware of that, it's absolutely amazing. It just comes like that. But for me, I sit with this book. I read that text every single day. I do my other practices and then I read that text every single day. And every day when I read it, I recognize something else in it. I go, oh, I didn't realize this was this, and I'll give you some of it as we go along. I'm not rushing this because it's too important, but I'll give you some of the things that you suddenly realize. Like, for example, when you realize that the mirror-like wisdom of Akshobhya or Vajrasattva, the mirror-like wisdom, you realize it's white in color. And that actual wisdom family belongs to your consciousness. So if you recognize that, your human consciousness goes to primordial consciousness. Each of those 5 Buddhas represents your forms, your feelings, your perceptions, your habits, and your consciousness. Each one, when you go through, and each of them present themselves to you, and when you start understanding that, it's amazing, because for sure you'll recognize it in the bardos. So don't underestimate, because remember, Gail, when you come into the bardos, that your whole human consciousness, other than your alaya or substrate consciousness, which has all your imprint, the rest dissolves, completely dissolves. So you are awake. There's only your alaya consciousness, and that almost lies dormant in the beginning of the death. It only comes to light if you haven't recognized. Do you understand what I mean? Then that 8th level comes and shows you all your karmic imprints. If you are really aware like this, you will be liberated for sure, for absolute sure, in the 1st or 2nd bardos in the afterlife. There's no doubt about it. And all of you should be liberated easily, because you'll see and you'll go there. Any other questions or comments or anything? Tamika, did you want to say something? No. Gail, Karen, please.
Mel, I've got a question.
Sure.
Seeing it's all our own creation,
Yes.
these deities, surely we can bypass it and not see them. So if I die and I want to go to Amitabha's Pure Land, or you want to go to the copper-colored mountain,
Yeah.
then we just need to practice that mantra or become aware of it, or Shenrazi, and just say, okay, I don't need these deities. We can push them off.
Yeah. You know
Or am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong, but, first of all, when you come into the bardos, just mute yourself when I'm talking and then unmute yourself when you talk. When you come into the bardos, right at the beginning, when all the elements die, and then the inner elements die, and then the consciousness, you hope, goes out of there right into, you can go straight to Amitabha, for sure you can, okay? There's no doubt about it. And you can even go to Amitabha when you come to the 3rd bardo, if you're aware. Let's say you forgot everything and you went along and you came to the 3rd bardo when all your karma is showing itself. You could also liberate yourself completely into Amitabha's Pure Land, because he's given that. And that's absolutely fine, no problem, because I want to go directly there. But it's very important that we learn these teachings, so that the most important thing, I'm going to teach that tomorrow night, and you can all listen to it if you can't come, but the most important thing is that in the death teachings, we get many opportunities. Open portal to unity with your true nature. You get many opportunities. So if you miss this, you'll get another chance, especially if you're aware. If you miss that, you'll get another chance. So for sure, you can try and go straight to the Pure Land if that's really what you want, okay? But most of us will get some kind of look at our true nature when the 5 Buddhas come and all their entourages, which become the 100 deities. So it's really important to know that, because remember, if you want to be sure you're going to go to Devachan, you'll actually be able to do it beautifully when Amitabha and Pandarasini come along you'll see them and you'll just relate to them and you'll go straight there into their pure lands or any of the other pure land. But you need to know all these teachings so that you are prepared at any one moment of the bardo. And if you don't catch it there, you can catch it there. Let's see, Wahida. I've heard from Lamalena's teaching that you can't resist or push away anything, just the same as in meditation practice. Wahida, I'm very happy you're bringing that up. It is true because it's all in front of you. But if you know, Wahida, that what is in front of you is illusionary and you will be able to get through it, if you know that with all your heart, you can actually do away even with your negative karma. Even if you don't manage to liberate yourself right up and you're now in the third bardo and you're looking at all your habitual imprints, even there, if you know for absolute sure that your habitual imprints, they're there, but they are absolute illusions, okay? They are illusions. If you know that, you can actually go right through them like that in a jiff. It's really important. Sorry, I want to see what else you're saying. The bardo stage chronologically, we pass through every step. Oh, your camera's not working. Okay. Yes, to love the illusion of what is being. Not maybe to love the illusion, but to know that it is an illusion where he takes you right through. Okay. And the thing is that you're going to get all these stages as you go along in your death. So the thing is, even if you miss that, and you miss that, like Gail's been asking, it's okay. And to remember, even now, that all the things you are going through that are really difficult are illusions, nothing more than illusions. That's all they are. So don't get sucked in to them in any way. Move through them. Absolutely, they will be there. But if you know your true nature, try and remember, everybody, your true nature is not 1 inch tainted by your habitual habits. Even if you commit a murder, your true nature isn't completely unstained by that. You might have to pay the karma on a relative level. Like I'm thinking of some of these real terrorists that got killed and everything, and I'm thinking like what happens to them in the bardo. I think that when your mind is in a hell realm, you just automatically reborn in your mind in the hell realm. And even then, the minute you say, when I used to go and teach in the hell realms many years ago, I used to really teach there a lot. I remember looking at the people. I remember coming in my sleep state, and I remember them throwing things at me. I was trying to teach them the truth. I'd obviously been doing this for a lifetime because I did it many years ago. And I'd come in and I would try and teach them. And I would say to myself, doesn't matter if they throw rotten tomatoes at me or boo me, it doesn't matter. But if one of you and this is for you, Wahida, if one person in the hell realm says, there must be more than this. This can't be a reality. If you just recognize that, you're out of the hell realm. You might still have to pay if you've done some really lousy things. You might have to come on a relative level first to pay, but you're out of the hell realm. The realm is just a state of mind, nothing more. So when you have states of mind, stop. When you have this, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? How am I going to manage this? I hate this person. Look what they've done to me, blah, blah, blah. Stop and just say, and yet, this is all an illusion. Now, in this play, the Iliad, he was talking about how the Greeks and the Trojans were fighting each other. And this guy, I don't know how he had the energy, because when I've taught, I'm exhausted. And he did 1.5 hours in this big theater of talking and shouting and everything. I couldn't believe it that he was going to do another session that night. You know, this guy, brilliant. he goes like this. When Achilles sees, I can't remember all the names, the Greek guy, Hector, when Achilles sees Hector, he goes like this and his face goes red. It's rage, 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 he shouts in the theatre. And then Hector comes. I love this scene. And then Hector comes, or the old king comes to get his son back. Get his son Hector. I forgot all the Greek mythology and everything. He comes to get his son. And Achilles is raging because he's stolen his armor. He's raging. And the old man comes and says, all I'm asking you, you're carrying my son's body on a chariot all over and his head is dragging. All I'm asking for you as an old man is to give me my son back. And then he goes, the rage. He goes, suddenly, compassion. He says, suddenly he reaches out to the old man and holds his hand. And in that moment, the rage is gone. I mean, I just think of what he's saying there. I found it very spiritual, the play. I really did. And what is he saying there? He's saying that if you look at your habits, if you look at your angers, if you look at your pain, if you look at your disappointments, they just transcend them by actually being in samadhi, because they are just delusions. By even knowing I've got this mind that can create everything. I say it to all the people that haven't got money, that are struggling in everything. I say, please, just look beyond this. Look at what is being taught you in the mirror and move beyond it. Can you all understand? Do the peaceful and wrathful appear in sight and sound only? Senses? No. They appear, but they're all illusions anyway, Wahida. When they appear in all 5 dimensions. Sight, sound, feelings, everything. They all appear at the same time because all of us have got those 5 dimensions. Are they real? Well, they're as real as they are symbolic. They're symbolic of each of the parts of you. When you really understand the 5 Buddhas and you see, this is my body, this is my speech, this is my mind, these are my qualities, these are my activities, then you know. This is just because sometimes I have people asking me, so let's say you're Jewish, or let's say you're Christian, or let's say you're Hindu. Will you still see the 5 Buddhas and their families? No. You will see your creation of your mind. That is what you are able to project. You won't see that like that because it's not tangible. It's really illusionary. I hope that helps you to understand, Wahida. So it's really, really important, this, because I want you to ask these questions. Like what Wahida's asking, what Gail's asking, are so important. Much more important for us to go very slowly, because I can rush through this and you can all say, I don't know what she's talking about. I'd rather relate it to you. And I want to read you from another text. I haven't even got onto the text of my teaching today, but it doesn't matter. I just want to read you from Guru Rinpoche's text. It's called Self-Liberation. That means not self-liberation. It means it liberates of itself. If you just leave it, it will go back into the essence. Remember that, everybody. The title says Self-Liberation Through Seeing with Naked Awareness. It's another text that Guru Rinpoche gave, Through Seeing with Naked Awareness. I just want to tell you what he says. The title says it all, but he says, it is the single nature of mind which encompasses all of samsara and nirvana. Even though its inherent nature has existed from the very beginning, you have not recognized it. Even though its clarity and presence has been uninterrupted. You have not encountered its face, even though its arising has nowhere been obstructed. You still have not comprehended it. Then later he says many times in this poetic text, you should look at your own mind to see whether it is like that or not. You should look at your own mind to see whether it is like that or not. The problem is we're so busy with our external lives, most beings don't bother to look. You could look during the day. You could look at night when you sleep. At death, you should definitely look because it's the maximum time to see. And when we look at it, you see, when you die, right now, everything is frozen in your body, frozen. It's like as though it went into the deep freeze. Our body, our speech, our mind, our feelings, our sense consciousnesses, our objects that we have, it's all frozen. And at death, the ice tray melts. And if you're awake, you can see it. You can see it. And if you're sleeping, then another round. If you're sleeping and you don't see it, then another round of samsara, which Gail said. It's the wheel of life. And I put there, have you ever seen when you put children on one of those big wheels at the fun fair? Okay, so what happens is they go around and they're screaming, and then they get to the top, and usually it stops because the bottom ones get off, okay? So then the children are screaming for you to see, and they're coming around the wheel and around the wheel and around the wheel. And then you're talking to your friend who both your children are on. And what happens is it stops at the bottom and you don't see it and you miss it. So they go on another round. Ma, 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 you know, they're going on another round. You didn't let us get off. You didn't take us off. You take yourselves off when it stops. Remember to get off the wheel. Otherwise, it's again another round, another life with all the crap and all the rubbish. You get off and think about it. Be alert when the wheel stops, when you're sitting in your meditation and the wheel stops. Wow, it liberates through itself, exactly, self-liberation. Now it liberates of itself. How? If you don't pick it up, hold it, analyze it, fix it, try and sort it. If you just say, okay, I'm angry, let it just be, let it be. You watch that anger. I've told you all that story of me when my husband, I told him when I went to India for that long period, don't get another dog. The 2 dogs were going to be put down. And I said, don't get another dog till I come back. And then he wrote me, I only saw 1 text a day, but he wrote me at the bottom of the text, right at the bottom, by the way, I got another dog. Okay. I was furious because I wanted to be there so I could train the dog. He always spoiled them and then they were undisciplined. And I said, they'll never be able to go in the human realm when you undiscipline them. Anyway, I was so angry. I didn't realize I was angry about the last dog and the dog before and the dog before and the dog before. I just remember sitting in India and I go, oh, well, Melanie, you're on retreat. Just let that anger up. If I tell you that room filled with red anger, I didn't know where it was coming from. It was being stored for a long time. And I just sat and I sat and I sat and I watched that anger. And slowly it started dissolving and dissolving and dissolving. And eventually there wasn't a single thing left of it. And I didn't mind that he got a dog. Okay, I didn't mind. I thought, oh, well, he's probably lonely without me. Let him have his dog. It was gone. I cannot explain. And when it was gone, I made contact with that dog from India. By the time I came home, he and I were the best friends. You know, he loved me to pieces because in my nature of mind, I could just go and see him, help him, bring him close to me, discipline him and everything from where I was in my nature of mind. It's a lovely example, that. Sorry if some of you have heard it before, but it really makes us think about all our stuff. Anyone want to say anything? I'm so happy if you do, because I'm going to go on to more of the text of the Kunzang Tuktik, but we should also do a little meditation because there's lots here to digest. But I'm not rushing through this, guys. I'd rather you ask me all the time. And remember what I said, please, Karen, go for it.
Mel, I'm sorry, I don't want to hog everything, so I'll do this afterwards. If everything, and I know it, not saying aware of it, I know it is my own creation. I am so fully aware of it. Now, when I die, and I'm aware of all the signs, then these deities, or whatever I want to project, I'm using that word, are also of my own creation. So I can, let's say the copper-colored mountain or Devashan, that is also my creation.
Yeah, for sure, in your mind.
Yes, so if I am dead, or I know, okay, I've already had it exposed and I've got my youthful vast body, surely I am able to go to Devashen. That's what I'm trying to say, without creating all these deities, though. Since I was small, I've always, without knowing why, known the mantra for the wrathful deities. I've never known the ones for the nice, happy ones, you know? So that's what I'm trying to say, because as much as I would like to disintegrate and dissolve and just become, you know, a little speck in the Dharmakaya, I'm not intelligent enough or enlightened enough, or it's not for now. So I need to have a nice little sojourn in Devashan before moving on. That's what I'm trying to
No problem whatsoever. Just go. Okay, don't even worry about it. But remember, you really need to be strong and firm when you go straight there. Okay, because I want the Dakinis to come and pick me up and take me back to that mandala. That's what I want also. But I still think, Karen, that we need to understand all of this, okay? Because remember that going to Devachan or the copper-colored mountain or any of the other pure lands is totally included in what we're talking about. Because basically your insurance policy is that most of us at this stage can't find the Dharma Dhatu. We can't just go to the light. As you say, we're not enlightened enough. Some of you may, for sure. I would love it if you can die and do the if you could do the transference of your consciousness into the Dharma Dhatu without seeing any of that. That's in the first bardo of dying. How wonderful would it be? And maybe some of us will be able to do it. But I think you've really got to be like with trekchor and sitting and samadhi, you've got to be really good.
You can. Yeah.
But as soon as that bardo passes and you're in the second bardo, you can definitely try and get to Devachan, but it's all your state of mind, and you can definitely try and go to Guru Rinpoche's Pure Land if you want to, but not go inside your mind, because it's not outside. It's inside your own mind, and you can get it.
Yes.
But know these teachings backwards, forwards, sideways. Know what you're doing. Like, I really know where I belong in the mandala. I know that I belong with the Lotus family, that when I came back, it was to go to the Lotus family, whatever, Devachen, Chenrezis, or Guru Rinpoche's, whatever. I know that I did. Just hang on. From Lama Lena's teaching, the consciousness after death is more like the consciousness we experience when you dream. Okay, let me just see her. She hasn't got her camera. It's good to have these discussions. It's not like we have in waking consciousness, so it will not will alone, but how much we've developed the subconscious as well. Yeah, I agree with you, Wahida, and that's why I'm saying to Karen, you may well be able to do that. And for absolute sure, you may well be able to do that, but for absolute sure, know this teaching and know that our creation of our own being, you want to know who you are, because the Pure Lands fit in with this absolutely exquisitely. So if you have that connection, you probably could go straight, but know this teaching anyway, okay? Because we want to be able to liberate ourselves and be able to go wherever we need to go when we die. And you for sure will. But don't say, do I have to know this? Yes, know it, because this is who you are. The mandala is who you are. How do I find out what family I belong to and where I am in the mandala? That's a very good question as well, Gail. You know what? I want you to try and go back to my teaching on the 5 dimensions of being. I think it's there. Eve, you could just look which it is and where it is, if it's on the playlists, because I did one on the 5 dimensions of being. I think it's along the top. Go and have a look. And then when you have looked at that, or I did that long one, some of you might remember, on the human consciousness versus the primordial consciousness. I did the psychology versus primordial consciousness. We did a very deep discussion over many sessions about that. So go back to that, Gail. And when you've watched that, please don't hesitate to text me. Okay, whatever you want to know, or to call me. I'm there for all of you. You know, what I do is I just put an audio back, long audios back for any of you that really want to. I'm so happy to try and help you. We'll talk about those 5 sections again in this teaching, but it's really important. Mel, the volume is gone on our side. Mom can't hear you. Oh, no. What a pity. Evie. So she can't come again. Boone, maybe you can text her to try and come on again. Maybe she hasn't got the data, I'm not sure. But otherwise, just text her and tell her that she must just watch it on YouTube when it goes up. Okay? So I'm saying this to all of you. It's really important, because when you hold a crystal to the light, you see 5 dimensions as you turn it around. And each of these dimensions, and how do you know where you actually belong? You have a feeling. I think I told a lot of you, Gail, I once did a retreat on these 5 wisdom Buddhas. And it was so interesting, because I bought cellophane. Colored cellophane, and everybody put on these masks so that, when they decided where they were, some had red cellophane on their glasses, some had blue, some had yellow. What happened to everybody is we made this big mandala, and then people just danced to where they thought they were. It was so clear to me, because I remember this one particular guy, I won't mention name, who's a very, very, he doesn't talk a lot, he's quite a quiet guy. And he went dancing into the mandala, and he went to the mandala of Varashana, which is the wisdom of the Dharma Dhatu. And I remember thinking, he fits there, because it's not talking, it's not, it's not anything, it's just pure, peaceful. That's the kind of guy that he is. And I watched him going into it. When I went into the mandala, the Lotus family has got, their thing is passion for the Dharma, okay? It's red, passion for the Dharma. Now, it's very clear to me, that's what I feel about the Dharma. I feel passionate. And that's clearly, and their enlightened activity is magnetizing people. They magnetize people in the Lotus. So when you look at all the activities and everything, you can see where you fit. When you start studying it, you can actually feel where you fit. It's unbelievable. Because some people have quieter, and they see. Like Ratnasambhava is the earth element. And that's the wisdom of equality family. And there's certain people that are very earthy in their lives, and they like flower arrangements, and they love things of the earth. And when you go into their houses, they always offer you abundant things, and they belong to the earth family. You see the elements, you begin to see, where do I belong? You actually find, when you really study the five, it's the most amazing thing. So let's do a little meditation. I haven't got a gong, so we'll just do it without a gong. But I'm very happy to teach this, and I'm happy if you ask question after question. That is really, really good, and I will answer them to the best of my ability. But just sit for 1 minute. Just breathe in to your beautiful Buddha nature, your true nature of mind. Remember that you invite this nature into you. It's open, spacious, blue, emptiness, which means full of possibility, full of absolutely everything. It's open. Invite it into your being a couple of times a day. Just sit quietly, even when you're working, when you're cooking, when you're doing housework. Just sit for a moment and invite that beautiful nature into you. That essence, that nature is your essence. It's everything. It's your God force. It's your absolute everything. When people in religion say it's God, that's God in you. Not some little man out there, but the essence of everything is right there. And that essence is pure, open, spacious, blue, deep blue in color. Feel it in your bones, feel it in everything that you are. And know that everything around you, even the things you see negatively, are not true. They're illusionary. Even your body is an illusory body. But everything that comes out of the essence is pure, free, absolutely beautiful. It's called spontaneous presence. It just comes out of your essence. When we see things as bad, people as bad, angry things in front of us, those are just our perversions, our impure perception, our inability to see things as they are. Remember those visions when you see ugly things, are your impure pure illusory visions. When you start training yourself, they become pure but still illusory visions. But you see them differently. You see them mirror-like wisdom, open wisdom, like the Dharma Dhatu, discerning, discriminating wisdom. This is teaching me to respond in a different way. The wisdom of equality. Everything is one taste, it's equal, no preference. You see it in a different way, the impure, illusory vision of the spontaneous presence. But actually, the primordial purity and the spontaneous presence are a unity. They're the same. If you can't see them, it's because you are learning lessons. You are seeing the impure, illusory vision. And what we're training here is to see things as they are, just as they are. So there's the impure illusory vision, there's the pure illusory vision, and they're seeing things as they really are. So often, as I'm looking at things, I'm trying to see them as they really are. They're not what they seem to be. Trying to see them as they really, truly are. In actuality, all that appears and exists, all worlds and beings, everything, all of them are the spontaneous presence, which is the mandala of the 100 deities, the victorious one, the mandala of the 5 male and female Buddhas and their entourages. Tulku Urgent says this is simply how it already is. We are training ourselves in what really is, not in our perversions, not in how we want things to be, not in how we mistakenly see things to be. We are training ourselves in seeing what is actually there. Very different picture. So when Karen asks, but do I need all of this? You may not need every detail that I am giving you, but you need to understand all of you as you meditate. This illusory body is made up of many components, and these components are frozen when we don't know. When we die or when we get enlightened, the components dissolve, they melt, the ice melts, and every part of your body, every single part becomes something of enlightenment. And when you understand this, it is very exciting. Suddenly your life is fairly irrelevant except in being able to get to this. When all the confusion is liberated. So it's not about, do I need to know this? Do I need to know to which Buddha family I belong? Do I need to understand all of this about the peaceful and wrathful deity? No, you do not need it, but it sure is amazing to know, because what it does is it liberates you. So why not know it? And then wherever you think you're going after death, wherever you think you want to go, that's for sure. But this you have to know, because Pure Lands are just each of the 5 families And the 100 deities are just the multiplication of each of the 5 families. And that is you. That is your true nature. Okay, let's just have a couple more questions and then we're going to end, and I'm going to get on a plane. So anybody wants question or comment, and really all your questions are amazing. And Wahida, it's lovely that you are listening to Lamalena. She has such, for me, she has such an unbelievable wisdom. You know, she teaches in her own way, in her own style. First, I was quite shocked by it, but she's got such incredible knowledge. You know, she's really got incredible knowledge, and she cares deeply for all the people who study her YouTubes and who go and study with her. She really looks at you and she really tries to see it in terms of who you are. I didn't even get onto my notes tonight. I was so busy blabbing and blabbing onto my notes today. Okay, I've got tons of stuff to teach you, but I will teach you slowly. Does anybody feel overwhelmed by all of this? She is eccentric, very Wahida, but that makes her beautiful because she doesn't worry about what people think. She just says it as it is, okay? And for some people, it's quite a shock, you know, like she describes a rape that she had once, you know, and I'm going, oh my God, you know, I always see the teaching as sacred, but she sees good and bad in the same way, and she's very enlightened, okay? Thank you, Cooks. But, you know, it's really important that we each teach in our way. And Wahida, I always teach. And this is so helpful for your death, really helpful for your death, and really helpful for your life. To know this is absolutely amazing, really amazing. So, I mean, all of you, if you've got questions you want to answer, let's just do one more thing if you're not asking. But if you've got questions you want to answer, send them to me with pleasure. Because I want you to absorb this. I don't want you to think, I need to know exactly. Just open to this. Open yourselves to this. And then you'll find, because when you see the highest Dzogchen teachings, the two things that are in Guru Rinpoche's puja are Trekchor and Togal. Okay, now Lamalena talks a lot about Trekchor, very, very little about Togal. But Trekchor and Togal are exactly this, your essence and its pure expression. And when you actually do the Togal practice, you actually allow the energy through the central channel and through your eyes to go out into the sky, and the actual purpose of that practice is to see the deities in front of you before you ever die. Okay, so you start by seeing the Vajra chains, which are your awareness. You see it, you don't visualize it, you actually see it when it starts arising in you. Okay, so you see the Vajra chains, which are your awareness in physical state. And then you start to see, I can't send those practices, Wahida. You really have to be an enlightened being. You can go to your Lamalena if you go into any of her groups and ask her. I can't, but I'm just telling you that when you actually see through your eyes are the actual gates to see this before you ever die. You see the colors, and you see the bindus, and you see the deities, you see absolutely everything in that Togal practice. But you need to do that practice under a master, and you need to have continued guidance in it. You need to have a master who's really practiced it to be able to do it. So both of those practices, but you can all go onto La Milena's pointing out instructions, which are all about the trekchor. You'll get absolutely amazing teaching from that. And it's really beautiful. You can go and see her pointing out instructions where she actually gives you how to get to that beautiful nature of mind. And its expression is the togal, the spontaneous present is the togal, but the way it works is not through visualizing. It works through the gates of your eyes, through the absolute crystal channel that goes up and goes around and goes through your eyes. You're looking into the blue sky, and then you actually see the formation of the deities before you ever die. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. So, I don't think I think I'm going to come on to this next week to teach you, Bern. I think it's enough for one session, So anybody want to ask before I do a dedication? You all okay? Mimi? You okay?
All good, all good.
Okay.
I feel with the wisdom families, I know which one I resonate with, but I've got a bit of most of them in me.
Yes,
Bit
we
of
all
each.
have. We
Yeah.
all have all of them in us. I mean, for instance, I love Tara. Now, Tara, and remember, a lot of these deities appear in more than one wisdom family. Like Tara is supposed to come out of the tears of Chenrezi, and Chenrezi belongs to the lotus family. But Tara is also the partner of the wisdom of perfected action, the green. Okay, she's also there. So remember, these deities can manifest themselves in millions of different ways. You can't confine them. So when you look at Vajrasattva, last thing I'm going to say, when you look at Vajrasattva can be the deity of the wisdom, the mirror-like wisdom can be that deity, okay? And Vajrasattva can be the one who gives you, like in the Kunzang Tuktik, Vajrasattva gives you the empowerments. And then you look at Vajrasattva and you say, well, who is he? He's often taught as the center of the mandala. I mean, Durga Urgent Rinpoche says, when you get the empowerments of the five Buddhas, Vajrasattva gives it, and yet he is, Akshabir and Vajrasattva are both the male deities of the mirror-like wisdom. However, look at Vajrasattva's mantra. And Vajrasattva's mantra has how many syllables? 100 syllables. Why? Because when you purify yourself with Vajrasattva, you do the 100-syllable mantra for each of the 100 deities. Isn't that phenomenal? Now that's another way when you use Vajrasattva and you go Om Benza Sato Samaya Manupalaya. There are 100 syllables and they all come through Vajrasattva. And it's absolutely amazing. So when you're doing Vajrasattva, you're actually purifying all those qualities within you, which is so exquisite for you, Karen, really exquisite. Let's dedicate. Then I have to get on a plane, so I have to go. I saw my husband's at the door, so with my son, so they're ready to pull me again. So let's dedicate, firstly, for all those who are in the wars, who seem to be innocent. No innocent people are in wars. They're there because they need to be there for whatever reason that we can't see. But let's say all the ones suffering very badly in all the terrible wars that are going on, if there's any merit in what we're saying, may it be dedicated to them. And through this merit, may all beings attain omniscience, may all obscurations fall away from the stormy waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death. From the ocean of samsara, may all beings be freed. Sonam die tamje zipane topne nepe tranam pamshene jegana chipala tropaye sipe sole doa warsho. Remember, guys, whenever you are dedicating at the end, it's really important to dedicate for all sentient beings, and that's one of the great progresses on the path.